Yo, what is the dealio, y'all? You already know. Today I got a what for you? A straight banger. All right. Hey, look, in this video, we're going to be talking about how to balance out your fear and your greed. All right. This topic is extremely important for every single trader and also investor who invests into the stock market, who wants to get money, right? Who wants to grow their money, all of that good stuff. So before I get into the video, I want to say, be sure to like this video and subscribe to this YouTube channel because every single day I'm bringing you valuable life-changing information that can change your life. All right. So with that being said, we're going to get into it. Today we're going to be taking a break from the charts, right? I might show you a little bit of the charts, but what I want to do is I want to focus on not getting caught up in the fear and the greed. All right. But before we do that, what I want to do is I want to shout out a couple people, man. Listen, shout out to the Discord. We ate today, all right? Brielle got 7%, 5%, 2%, 12% on her trades. Kent, another base hit, 11% return. Eleanor smacked Palantir 2 different times today. Success Joe, 17%, 12%, 17%. Toya, she smacked Palantir, I think, 3 times today. Quinn, he made about $600 today. Swift 22nd got another base hit right there. She hit $9 on SMCI. What she smacked? MU, Palantir, and then Alibaba as well. So she had about a $200 day today. Mr. Williams 10% on Palantir, 11% trade, right? So look, man. Swole trades 234. So we doing this every single day, all right? So shout out to everybody who's showing up consistently and taking the trades and learning how to trade, all right? Now, with that being said, fear and greed, all right? First things first, I want to let you know that fear and greed are going to lead you to the same place. And where is that? To unprofitability, all right? So if you want to go to the land of the unprofitability, give in to fear and greed. All right. I want you to understand that first things first. Fear and greed are the same thing, are different sides of the same coin, basically. All right. So we're going to unpack how do you balance out fear and greed. So the goal is to get you to a level of homeostasis, right? Now, what is homeostasis? Homeostasis is literally that finding that balance, finding that harmony between your fear and your greed. All right. So first, let's understand that you're going to feel both fear and you're going to feel greed at some different times in trading. And when you're investing, you're going to feel fear and you're going to feel greed. All right. Sometimes, depending on who you are, you may feel one may be a little bit more dominant than the other. All right. But getting over these, you got to understand how to do it. So let's talk about fear first. When you are giving in to fear, you're going to be getting out of trades too early. Okay, that's one of the biggest things. You're going to be missing, right? You're going to be missing getting into trades that could change your life out of fear. Okay, fear is going to make you procrastinate. All right, fear is going to make you doubt yourself. And when you doubt yourself, you actually end up losing trust within yourself. All right, so how do you get over fear? I think one of the best ways to get over it is 2 things. Number 1, you got to address it. So you have to journal and you got to sit here and assess why you are being fearful. All right. So I want you to ask yourself, why am I being fearful? And then it's time to put the pen to the paper and start asking yourself. And in order to address this, you got to get honest with yourself. Okay. When you are operating out of fear, you are going to get into the wrong trades because you don't want to take a L. Right? Think about what I'm saying. Because you don't want to take an L. Think about how that sounds. You don't want to take an L and you end up taking an L because you're focusing on what you don't want to happen. That is fear. All right? So you have to address it and journal it. And then the second part of that, after you address it and you journal it and you bring it to the light, then you got to face it head on. Okay? So if you find yourself operating out of fear, you have to size your positions down. All right? Because this is what it's going to do. You probably have been sizing a little too large, taking too much of an L, right? And now that has traumatized you and it shell shocked you. And you don't want that to happen again because you don't want to experience that pain that you felt when you lost that money. All right, I'm breaking this down for you. So follow what I'm saying right here, okay? So what you should do is you should have your plan, have your rules, have your strategy. And then what you want to do is you want to size lower, size smaller. That way, even if you do take a L, it is very small and very minimal, okay? So let's say you're used to doing 3 to 4 contracts. You've been taking too many L's. So drop down to 1 contract, right? And that way you can have a 20% stop loss, because if you are investing in the contracts and let's say one contract is $200, you can say, okay, I'm gonna have a 30% stop loss on this contract that's $200. Not because I'm not disciplined, but because of only investing $200 into one contract, it gives you more room to learn how to actually trade. And then once you start doing one contract and you get comfortable with being in a trade, being down 5%, being up 20%, being down 10%, being up 18%, you're gonna start building up your own personal confidence. You're gonna learn and realize that, okay, I have nothing to fear. I now know how to set my stop loss. I'm okay if I do get stopped out of a position. Once you do all of that, then you can say, all right, perfect. Now that I've understood what is going on with me, now I can say, all right, I am going to now go back to going to maybe 2 contracts and then start slowly going back up, okay? But if you're operating out of fear, you need to size down so you can allow yourself to take the L's that you need to take, but also see how it feels to be in a play. See how it feels to be in a play. If you get in and you're down immediately, fear will make you sell immediately. Now you're down 10%, you sell out, and then it goes right back up. Okay, that's what fear will do. Fear will keep you unprofitable longer than you want it to be. So I always say, if you want to get good at trading, you got to get good at yourself. All right, that is my principle. You got to work on your personal psychology. You have to work on your personal psychology. All right, now let's go to the other side of the spectrum, being greed. What does greed do? It also leaves you unprofitable because what you doing? You at bat, right? And what you gonna do? You swinging for the fences every time because you being greedy. All right, you being greedy. So with you, when you are being greedy, you're also oversizing, right? You're oversizing a lot of the times. And then you either make 50% or you lose 70%. You make 30% or you lose 60%. You're not honoring your stop loss, right? And here's the thing. Listen to what I'm about to say. Anytime you do something one time, it becomes easier to do it the second time. So if you take a 50% L on a trade, now you're not scared of that. So because you're so greedy, you're going to be like, man, I took a 50% L before, 30% ain't nothing. It ain't going to get to 50%. And then what does it do? It gets to 55%. And now you in a position where you like, damn, should I get out or should I stay in? Nah, it's going to reverse. It's going to go the other way. And then it never does. It's the last day of the week. And then you end up losing 70%. Now you mad. And you ain't got nobody else to be mad at but yourself because you're greedy. All right? It's that simple. So in order to overcome greed, you also need to size down. But this is going to be harder for the person that's greedy because they want to make so much money so fast. And that's the problem. You want to make so much money so fast, but you don't really understand the craft of trading. The more you don't need the money and the more you don't want the money, the more the money is going to come to you. But when you are sitting over here trying to swing for the fences every single trade, you are bound to lose big money. And that's how you blow your account. So like I say, fear and greed, they're going to both lead you to the land of the unprofitable, right? And this is why I always recommend you joining the Discord into the Prosperity Collective so we can help show you how to really be prosperous with trading and really get to this stock market money. All right? Real talk. Stock market money will change your life, but it will only change your life when you understand how to think and what your psychology needs to be. They always say successful people think a certain way. I've never met somebody successful who had an unsuccessful what? Mindset, way of thinking. So it's up to you to sit here and understand, all right, is my dominant emotion when I'm trading fear or greed? Now, let me give you a couple other things. If you get in a trade and your hands start sweating, your palms start sweating, right? Your shirt is drenched, right? I've been here before. When I was first started trading, got in a trade, shirt wet. I had to go literally change my shirt after my first trade I took. Because I was like, I never felt that before, right? Didn't know about sizing or none of that stuff. Okay, so if your hands are sweating, your hands are shaking, right? Your shirt is wet, you, my friend, have oversized in your trade. Period. You've oversized in your trade. And that is what fear is making you feel. Fear is literally making you sweat because you don't want to lose the money that you put in there. Because when you know what you're doing, what do I always say? The more you study, the less you worry. Okay? So, the more you study and understand the charts, the less you're going to be sweating in trades. I used to start, one of my metrics of success was I want to make sure that when I'm in a trade, I'm not shaking. My hands ain't sweating. I remember my hands used to sweat to the point where I could barely get out of the trade on my phone because it was moist and it wasn't allowing me to click the button. Right? I've had a lot of experiences that a lot of you, whether you're beginning or you're intermediate and you may have bad habits, I felt that before. You do not want to be all sweaty when you win a trade. Okay? Make sure you go to the bathroom. You got to be in a relaxed state. When you're trading, you have to be mentally relaxed. You got to be physically relaxed. If you are not mentally and physically relaxed, your fear or your greed, whichever one is dominant within you, is going to come up. All right? Now, another way to balance out your fear and your greed is you got to get down to the bottom of why you're fearful. And that's why I say go journal. And you got to think back all the way to what is your relationship with money? Where did you even learn about money? Where did you learn the concept of money? What do you value money? How do you value money? How do you see money? What part does money play in your life? I now understand that money is literally a tool to make more money so you can go and buy your freedom. Right? Period. So the goal is to have a detachment from money, because the more detached you are from money and the outcome, the more money you're going to end up making. All right? So I really hope that helped and that helps you understand what the course of action should be in order for you to get where you want to go. Everybody wants to make the bread in trading. I get it. But listen, in order to make the bread in trading, you have to be willing to do the work. I always say to myself, don't be mad if you didn't get the thing that you never wanted because you didn't want to work for it. You didn't want to do the work. You didn't want to read the books. You didn't want to do the work, right? Outside of doing the thing. You can't just show up and not do your homework, right? If you're in school, right? If you've ever been in school, college, high school, you can't just show up in class, do no homework, and pass with flying colors. It don't work like that. If you want to experience professional level of money, you got to operate as a true professional, right? This is real life right here. All right, so that's how you balance out your fear and your greed. This is how you do it, all right? Remember what I say. If you want to be great at trading, you got to be great at yourself. So it's time for you to build a better relationship with yourself consistently. Keep working on that, and you will start to see the changes. All right? So like I always say, let's make sure you get out of your head, go get into this world, because your head is a dangerous place to live, all right? And always remember, the more you study, the less you worry, all right? I'm going to see y'all in tomorrow's video. Peace.